Hey there guys, and welcome to another Factorio base tour. Today we're going over Fugs's factory. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. It may be different, but it would sound very much like another word that probably shouldn't be saying on YouTube videos. So yeah, this is why we're his character. This is not my factory. This is a factory that was posted on the subreddit that I actually covered briefly in the Reddit Weekly video I did this previous Sunday. But some people requested a tour, and I wanted to see it for myself. I will link the post down below, and there is a save file that he links within the post, so you can go grab it if you want. This is a 10,000 science pack per minute Megabase that is pretty much completely train-based and highly UPS optimized. And also, it's quite symmetrical too, similar in that respect to the other base we did, the rotationally symmetrical one. This kind of, excuse me, has the same concept where the factory is actually split up into 4 different blocks, each one presumably doing 2,500 science a minute, and they are all pretty much identical. You can see here, you know, they're all just pretty much rotationally symmetrical like this. So we just finished mining productivity 2,263. This is nuts. There is no mods required to run this. The running speed of the character seems like it has been modified via a command because we're going way faster than we normally would. But that's fine because it's a huge factory. So let's take a look at this. It's completely legit. These are all, it doesn't even use RSO to my understanding. This is all vanilla, although maybe it's not legit. I don't know. These patches seem insanely rich for being near spawn. So maybe what happened is he went out super far and explored and then like unrevealed the part where he explored from. I'm not sure. But these don't seem like spawned in patches. I think they did maybe use creative mode for this. I'm not sure. But anyway, first off, production. If we look here, let's look at the last minute. 11K, 11K. So some of these are dipping down, but they do show, here we go. So a 50-hour graph. 10K of every science pack per minute here. All-time graph is insane. 17 billion iron, 9.1 billion copper, 8 billion circuits, 1.5 billion red circuits, almost a 250 million blue circuits, and 170-ish million of every pack. Okay, so they're running on solar. This factory is currently using 105 gigawatts of power with 1.7 million solar panels. That is ridiculous. And it has a ton of trains. I think it's upwards of, it's a lot. It's a lot of trains. I don't believe they actually said in the post. Maybe they did say. It says 432 trains total using 7.2 nuclear fuel per minute. And also really quick here, I am going to do my autosave because that takes forever. So yeah, this is basically entirely train-based. Now, what does that mean? This is a really great way to save UPS. And this base, by the way, this base runs at over 60 UPS while producing 10K a minute science. It's pretty nuts. We are at 60. I'm going to bump the game speed up in a little bit here, and you'll see it. I actually can run it more at like 70, 75 UPS, which is pretty nuts. So basically, as you can see here, they're using a very nifty tactic here. And I did this a little bit in my Sending Supporters to Space map with tanks. But they're doing it even more with these builds, and it is a little difficult to move. So I'm going to die from this train 100%. So basically, yeah, it's transferring stuff into cars, basically acting as storage chests. And the reason they don't do actual storage chests is because how the tracks offset. The tracks, can only move in sets of 2 tiles, basically. So you need the cars to be that, a chest just won't be the right size. As you can see, it's like you need like a long hand inserter and it wouldn't be fast enough. So they're just doing directly in here, direct insertion. And this is a lot of the reason why the UPS on this map is so good, because you're eliminating bots and you're eliminating belts entirely. This has some bots for fueling, but other than that, there's not. It's all train-based. This entire thing just transfers these resources via train. And you can see this train network. I mean, it's massive. It goes all the way around. I mean, all this seemingly looks like it maybe interconnects. Actually, it doesn't look like it does. It is slightly... Well, there are some connections here and there. Well, no, this is actually separate. I think these are actually all separate. But yeah, so, you know, this is like what this looks like. So this is bringing in... it's actually coming in with cable and plastic already loaded, and then it's going to load the circuits. And this one is going to go to red circuits. So we could actually follow this train here. Once this guy's full, he's going to head on to red circuits. And it's a really fascinating base, and the optimization that went into this is mind-blowing. To be able to do 10,000 science packs a minute at over 60 UPS is just insanely impressive to me. So here goes the train. So we'll just kind of follow him. So he's just going to go wherever red circuits are. I'm not actually... They're located, I think, over here somewhere. So this area is a death trap, man. I almost got hit by trains just coming down here. This rail thing in here is an absolute... I mean, it's nuts. I don't want to say... I mean, it is a mess, but it's not, like, bad, because it obviously works. It's just really, really crazy and hectic. So as you can see, so there's one example of a train doing that. There's a massive oil train. Dear Lord. Okay, so he's coming into the stacker, and then he's going to pull in and deliver on the outside here. And then, you know, red circuit train would come in and fill up from the middle. Now, I cannot imagine building this rail system. Like, the amount of thought that must have gone into this is pretty absurd. In fact, if we look, there's 45 days spent in this. Now, I'd imagine a lot of that is AFK time, just doing research. But 45 days, you can do the math. I'm not going to... Okay, I'm really bad at this, but... I mean, 24 hours in a day times 45 is a lot. It's over 1,000 hours, I believe. So there's that. So then we have oil builds. And again, these are pretty much entirely train-based. Minimal pipes as well, it looks like, for the most part. These trains are massive, though. These are, I believe, the oil trains look to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, like 315s or something. They're actually bringing in water, which is really interesting. Something I personally would not have really considered doing, but you can see over here, this is kind of where they're filling it up. It's actually a really cool technique, and it would work for oil for sure. And then the other trains, all these other trains are 4 locomotives by 20 cargo wagons. So they're just 420 trains. Yeah, haha, I said 420. So they're single-headed trains. So this is using like a loop-based system to pull through, roll on, roll off type of thing. Actually, that's the other way, right? I'm not sure. But yeah, so this is just single-headed trains coming through. And this is also better for UPS because trains take quite a bit of UPS, and it's train entities that actually do, meaning cargo wagons and locomotives. So by not having the additional like 4 locomotives on the other end, you know, 4 times 400 trains, you're cutting off a ton. You're cutting off like 1,600 plus train entities, which makes a big difference. If we pull up the stats thing, you can see here trains are like 3 out of the 13 update we have. A lot of it's going to obviously be entity update, which is just like everything else, like inserters and, you know, machines and all that stuff. But the trains are a fair portion of that. Okay, so let's actually look at the builds. I'm just going to do a lot of this via map view because it's really hard to like navigate with this character this quickly. So again, guys, it's really simple. They're doing a lot. Well, I say it's simple. I mean, it's simple in terms of just that all the builds work the same with the direct train insertion. Creating this is not simple. They're doing a lot of sharing, which is really interesting. So like this thing is sharing circuits and iron, and then it's going to... looks like inserters, which is actually interesting. But yeah, so they are using chests where possible because chests are going to be more UPS friendly than cars. So they're only using the cars where they absolutely have to. And they're having some sort of condition set here. I'm guessing, is it wired to a station? It is. So it may actually, I do want to go look at this and hopefully not get run over. Although I think I'm probably invincible based on this fact that we can run this quickly. Okay, so this thing... enable or disable if iron is under 500. Okay, so it's actually, yeah, so it's kind of just only allowing trains in here when the iron is below, you know, that threshold of 500 ore. And that's for the unloading. And then, of course, the loading, I would imagine, is going to be pretty much the same. That's not the loading. This is the loading. Yeah, so this is a train can come in, enable, disable if iron's over 4,000, right? Because since you're actually trying to build up some, you need to have it over rather than less than. And, you know, this is, of course, reading it. So it is more, so a train should be coming in once there's a train available. And, I mean, this thing is just nuts, man. I mean, so here's this. Here's all the iron. Here is all the copper. And steel is somewhere. Not entirely sure where the steel is. Here's copper cable, which is being made, I think, just for red circuits. I saw steel on the other build. I'll have to find it again. Oh, here's steel. Okay, so again, they're just doing direct ore into steel, meaning that they're not like putting the plate on a train and then bringing the plate to the steel. They're just doing ore directly and then doing this. Now, in some cases, you can do a longhand inserter, as you see here, and that's ideal because then you don't have to use the cars. But for something like green circuits, you know, they're so fast, you just can't use long-handed inserters in some cases, like just right here. Because you just couldn't transfer it fast enough. And then, I mean, all the sides are exactly the same, like I said. So, smelting, what else haven't we looked at? So there's cable. Here is some solid fuel and rock fuel being made, plastic being made here, utilizing tanks and pumps. I'd actually imagine a lot of the UPS is from pipe entities, based on the fact of how many pumps, tanks, and pipes they're using, which can't really be avoided. That's just, you know, that's kind of the way of the game right now, that pipe entities, fluid boxes, stuff take a ton of performance at this scale. And then blue circuits, of course, here. You can kind of look at production. I don't know why science, there must just be a massive buffer. But you can see we're making 1 million iron a minute, which is just absurd to look at. Almost 500,000 green circuits a minute. It's pretty nuts. 100K red circuits. 16K blues, that's nowhere near how much it can actually produce, I don't think. So we have blues here, and then yeah, so there's actually like, I really like the fact that they've done these just like dedicated builds, because here's science and stuff, but the inserters and all that are, here's miners, so I think they're up here. So here's gears, here's miners, pipes, tons of pipes, you know, of course the engines need the pipes for science. Here's the inserters, so that's like where that one train we looked at a few minutes ago is going. I mean, not this specific one because it was the other build, but it was going, you know, to an inserter build. Tons of belts. They're doing a lot of stuff with smarts to kind of control the trains, I think, which is really smart. A loop train here for the electric engines, purple science, yellow science, and then, of course, the labs themselves, which again are train-based, and 12 beaconed. Because there's 14 effect sources, so 12 beacons plus the 2 modules in here. And we're cranking a lot. How many labs? I do want to see. So this is utilizing 405 science labs. 504, sorry. Reversing the numbers. 504 science labs, which is nuts. 80,000 beacons. Like, think about that for a second, guys. 80,000 beacons. That is a huge amount. That is absolutely insane how much that is. Some of these, we're actually making 13,000 a minute of some of these, which is kind of nuts. We are consuming 10K of all of them. So there must just be a buffer of some. And then, of course, like I said, the ore patches are doing direct train to mining, which, again, saves UPS because you don't need inserters, you don't need belts, and you don't need bots. And with this level of mining productivity, I mean, these fill up absurdly fast. I was looking at one earlier. I'm going to see if I can find one for you guys. See a train like actually pulling into one of these and filling up. You can hear. It's literally going up by like 100 a second. Okay, so here, let's watch this one. With the mining productivity, it's nuts. Watch how fast this fills up when these are beaconed. And this is ideal. This is the situation you want for UPS optimization. This literally just filled up in like less than 10 seconds. It's absurd. And what they're actually doing, which is smart for this, is I'm not sure why they didn't extend these down and just do it that way, but they're having multiple stations and the trains pull forward so it fills up in increments. Like on this patch, they could fill up more at once because there's all this ore down here. I'm sure they had a good reason though. And then yeah, so the patches are just kind of spread out around here. I mean, this is just huge, man. This is nuts. Uranium, of course, here, which is one miner. I mean, mining productivity. I mean, we have 4,526% mining productivity, which is absolutely out of this world. We're on bot speed 19. They're mostly focusing on productivity, which makes sense, of course. And then I'm trying to find some oil wells maybe we can look at really quick. Here's some. 2.5k. Well, these are super rich, but with the mining productivity, it's really nutso. In fact, let me see if I can find a patch. Here's one over here. Watching these miners work with the productivity bar is nuts, dude. Look at it. I mean, the mining productivity bar is broke. It just doesn't go faster than this. It's probably like looked like this since like mining prod like 600 or something. It just can't even go any faster than that. It is calculating it. It's just visually, it just can't go any faster. So there we go, guys. There's the base. It's just like, I mean, you can look in greater detail if you want. Like I said, you can grab the save file. Don't need any mods. I just kind of wanted to show you an overview. And what we're going to do here is we're actually going to bump the speed up to like, well, 2. I know I can't go to 2, but I was at like 70 something when I loaded in, but more's turned on. So yeah, I can run this at 65-ish when it's fully going, because it looks like we are actually on full production now, which is just, it's mind-blowing. I mean, you know, it makes me super ashamed. You know, my 4,000 science pack per minute base couldn't even run at 60. Of course, you know, that was back, I didn't know a lot of this stuff back then. You know, new techniques like this train stuff is definitely becoming more prevalent. I mean, it's great. It works really well, as you can see. This is absolutely nuts. So there you go. This is, in terms of production and efficiency, UPS-wise, this is probably the most impressive base I've ever seen. The other base, rotationally symmetrical one, I think was probably one of the most visually pleasing, just super nice, like OCD pleasing base I've ever seen. And production-wise, of course, it was extremely impressive too, but this one, 10k science per minute, over 60 UPS, using some really, really smart techniques, is just absolutely amazing to look at. It's just really cool, guys. It's amazing. It's inspiring for sure. If I had the stamina and time, I would try to do something like this myself, but I just don't think I do at this point. This is just a massive endeavor. But anyway, that's going to do it. As always, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I have. Like I said, link below to the Reddit post where you can check it out and you can grab the save file. If you have any questions or thoughts, leave them down below. There was some really great comments and stuff on the last base tour. I'm going to try to do kind of more of these. I want to find like really unique bases. I don't really want to start a series where I just tour just like random bases that aren't like that special. I really want to tour just like really unique bases like the previous one and this one and such. So definitely keep that in mind. I'd like to keep doing this if I can. And I think that's going to do it. As always, thanks for watching. And until next time, I look forward to seeing you all, and do take care.